you a book today by an author called Rachel Bright and an illustrator called Jim Field. And if you remember the books that we read, Oi Dog and Oi Cat and Oi Platypus, well, those books were written by Jim Field, who in this book is actually the illustrator. It's interesting how illustrators are sometimes authors and sometimes they just illustrate other authors' books. So this book is called The Squirrels Who Squabbled. And I'm just going to read this to you because it's a fun book and entertaining. Now, interestingly enough, this book does not come from our library, but we do have this book in our library. It's just that when I knew they were closing the schools, I quickly went to the public library, the NLB, and got a whole bunch of books. The Squirrels Who Squabbled. I sure hope you guys are not doing any squabbling at home if you have brothers and sisters at home. I hope you're being good. In a towering forest where summer had been, the cool air bit fresh and the mosses grew green. And as autumn edged in and the sky raged red, the sleepiest creatures got ready for bed. While up in a tree swung a flighty young squirrel, who everyone knew as Spontaneous Sorrel. Now, spontaneous, what does that mean? If you guessed doing things at the spur of the moment and not thinking about it, that's correct. But a squirrel should not be spontaneous, not if the summer is ending. He needs to save his nuts. Now, most foresty folk had seen to their needs through the plentiful months of mushrooms and seeds. They built up their stores so they'd be all well fed through the frosting of winter that glittered ahead. But Cyril, he lived in the now and the here. He'd adventured and partied his way right through the year. So his cupboard was empty. His hollow was bare. He hadn't a mouthful of food anywhere. But wait, what was that? Over there, take a look. A single lone pine cone wedged in a nook. He squealed with delight, and for very good reason, for inside were the very last nuts of the season. But Cyril was not alone. There were more hungry eyes. Yes, Plan-Ahead Bruce had his sights on the prize. Though he had gathered a mountain of bounty, hard fought, Bruce was convinced he was one pine cone short. I simply must have it, he wistfully cried, as he dreamt of the fresh, juicy pine nuts inside. So, as Cyril set off on his way to the ground, Bruce, he was also last pine cone bound. They sprinted and scurried with no time to gamble. They scratched at the bark in their scampering scramble. So one's going this way on that side, one's going this way on that side, but their panic and haste shook the tips of the spruce and the pine cone. It tumbled and then it came loose. Both squirrels gave it their chase at a lightning pace. This was the start of a wild, nutty race. "It's mine!" shouted Squirrel. "No, it's mine!" hollered Bruce. "You don't stand a chance. Give it up. It's no use." "I'm hungry!" cried Squirrel. "This cone is not yours." "Stay back!" shouted Bruce. "This cone's for my store." Not very polite, either one of them. Well, it boinged over bushes. Boing, 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 boing. And flew through the air. It binged on the nose of a slumbering bear. It bounced over boulders, then came to a stop. It teetered and wobbled and quivered and plop. Both squirrels followed. Oh, the water was fast. Would they learn that they needed each other at last? But each was intent on how he could win, so they didn't quite notice a bird sweeping in. Squirrel and Bruce, they watched in dismay as their cone disappeared up and away. "Come back!" shouted Squirrel. "There are nuts!" exclaimed Bruce. But all hope was gone. It was simply no use. And meanwhile they drifted right up to the edge. Greed, it was driving them. Can you think about what would rhyme with ledge here? You're right. Over the edge. Squirrel and Bruce, they had taken a fall. They were paying the price for wanting it all. They'd squandered their chances to team up and share. Would their nutty young hopes simply end in despair? Not working together. That's what happens. Bruised and bedraggled, they swept past dry land. Squirrel grabbed a branch with a trembling hand. Catching Bruce with the other, he heaved and he huffed and dragged him to safety with panting hand puffs. They stared at the sky, quite lost in deep thought, until Bruce looked up Squirrel and let out a snort. "How silly we were," he proclaimed all a giggle. "How greedy I've been," spluttered Bruce with a giggle. "We shall change from today. May the squabbling cease. We should celebrate seeing we're both in one piece." From that day and forward, they made a great pair. They would gather together and they found they could share. Yes, Squirrel and Bruce, they knew in the end a best thing to share is a laugh with your friend. All right, that was a bit of a hard book to read because I needed to hold the pictures up and it's a big book. But it's a good book to read right now because everybody's having a little bit difficult time. We're all at home, we can't go to school, we haven't got the regular routine. And it just goes to show you though that if you follow the regular routine, even if it's a new routine like Bruce did, things may go okay. And if you don't follow the routine, you try maybe not to do things the way you're supposed to, like Squirrel did, the consequences can be severe. But if we all work together, we will get through this. So I hope you enjoyed this story. I enjoyed reading it to you. And until I see you again then, be well and be good. Notice all my little friends back here.